Hey, what is going on, people? It is Kwame Sarfo-Mensah back again, owner and founder of Identity Talk, with another video. And today's topic is on not getting married to your scope and sequence or your curriculum guide. Now, I want to explain this a little further. So, just speaking for myself, my first 4 years as a teacher, I taught in charter schools. And at those charter schools, we didn't have a scope and sequence coming into the school year. We pretty much had to create that by ourselves using the resources from our school district. So I taught in Philadelphia my first 4 years. And in the two charter schools I worked in, they had, their own plans, but ultimately I had to create my own scope and sequence for the school year. So I had to decide on what order I was going to teach my standards. I had to decide on how much time I would take to teach each of the standards in relation to the benchmark dates that were provided to us. So these were things that I was planning during the summertime before the school year. Now, fast forward to my 5th year, I moved to Boston with my family. I teach at Boston Public Schools, first year in a public school district. So now I come into the school year with an already scripted scope and sequence ready for me to use. Everything from September all the way through to June is already written out for you to use in your classroom, which was very foreign to me because I'm used to having the autonomy to, create that for myself over the summertime. So that was something that I had to, get used to. And I actually found uncomfortable personally. So, that being said, I see a lot of teachers who they follow the script to a T. And maybe it's because it's just more comfortable and it's easier and it's less work for them. But the way I see it, if you're following the script to a T, are you really accounting for the different students in your classroom? Now, for someone like myself who teaches in an inclusive setting, I have students who are IEP students, I have students who have 504 plans, I have students who are ESL. In some cases, they're level 1 and 2, meaning that they speak little to no English. So I have to try to provide access points for those different students so that they can have some interaction with the material or content that I'm teaching them. So what does it mean to not be married to your scope of sequence? What it simply means is this. Whenever you're making an instructional decision in your classroom, you really need to look at the students in your room, the way that they learn, how much time they need to process the material. And because it's a diverse group of students, you can't just do the same thing for everybody. You have to find some ways to differentiate. So, and I think for a lot of teachers, they're afraid to do so because there's so much pressure mounted on them as far as standardized testing and meeting certain benchmarks in order for them to have a good evaluation. So the pressure is there. And because of this overemphasis on testing, teachers have been stripped of their innovation and their creativity in the classroom. Because, at the end of the day, teaching is an art form. There's no one way to teach. There are so many different ways you can go about it, which is what makes this a beautiful profession, in my opinion. So I just want to encourage people to just not stick to the script. Maybe as a first year or second year teacher, that's something that you will do naturally because you're still trying to get your feet wet. You're still trying to get yourself in a comfortable rhythm. in the classroom, which is normal. We all go through that phase, but as you grow in your craft, as you build your capacity as an educator, the expectation is that you start to create your own identity for yourself and find other ways to create positive outcomes for your students in the classroom. So, and you'll start to see that as you start to build your practice and learn different strategies for attacking different standards and objectives. But we have to get back to that creativity and the innovation because it's an art form. And honestly, if the scope or the sequence says we have to spend 3 days on a particular objective, it's not a guarantee that we're going to get through that objective in 3 days. It's not a guarantee that all of our students will demonstrate mastery of that objective within that 3-day period. So as a result, we may have to take 2 extra days in order to address it, which is actually natural because we can't norm those time frames. We can't norm them because students teach at different levels. Students teach at different paces. So your pacing is going to be informed by the way students learn. So we have to make decisions based on our students and not stick to the script. Because if we stick to the script, we're missing out on opportunities to further the growth of our students. And I know it's easy said than done. There's a lot of pressure for teachers to perform and to secure their jobs. And that hinders their ability to do what's right by their students. But if we're truly about transformation, if we're truly about liberating our students, if we're truly about doing what's just and what's right by our students, we know deep in our hearts that we can't just move on to another objective without more than half of your students mastering it. And I think that's one of the main issues with education today, at least in the United States. I can't speak for other countries, but in the United States, that's one of the major issues. We have a hard time balancing between doing what's right by the students, but also making sure that we adhere to particular performance mandates that are established by our different school districts and even at the professional level. But here's how I look at it. If there is a better way to educate our children, if there is a better way to attack a certain standard or objective that's going to yield better outcomes, why not just try it out? Because ultimately, it's all about obtaining a high level of student achievement. And if there's a better way that you know of that's going to get us to that destination, you just got to go for it without worrying about the repercussions. Because at the end of the day, if the results are going to be in the favor of the students, if you get the results that your school leaders are looking for, that's really all they care about. As far as how you get there is a different story. And I think the more we build in our practice, the more that we take the initiative to look at different tools, different strategies, different pedagogical methods around instruction, the more we're going to have options in terms of how we execute a lesson. So it's really about versatility. And versatility is what allows us to be innovative and creative. But also, when you have success with it, it gives us even more autonomy because now you have your school leaders looking at you and they're saying, oh, you know what? I don't have to really worry about you because the kids are already showing the growth that they need to show. So whatever you're doing in your classroom that's working, stick with it. Keep on doing it. Now, the only time that they'll probably get on you is if you're trying these different methods and it's not yielding the results that, that should be happening academically. And of course, there are a lot of other factors that could come into play with that. But you definitely want to try to do everything in your power to exercise, your creativity and exercise your abilities, trusting your instincts as an educator. Take the risk. If you fail, at least you know that you tried. But how will you know if whatever idea you have works if you don't try it out in the lesson? So I just tell all of us, let's not be married to the scopus sequence. It's not the end all be all. The scopus sequence is a guide. It's a foundation. It's a template that is meant to be built upon. It's a template. It's really not meant for you to read word for word, script for script. Because ultimately, we all educate differently. And if there are different ways for us to execute that same lesson that we feel is going to yield better results, we're going to do what's right. Because at the end of the day, it's about best practices. So that's all I want to share for today. Do not stay married to your scope and sequence. Why file the curriculum guide when you can guide the curriculum? That's all I'm going to say. Because at the end of the day, once the textbooks are gone and all the other things are gone, all you're left with is your toolbox, your pedagogical toolbox. That's all you're left with. So just keep that in mind. All right, folks. So I'm going to let you all go. If you want to hear more content, see more videos, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's simply my whole name, Kwame Sarfo-Mensah. You can also hit me up on Facebook at Identity Talk Consulting, Twitter at Identity Shaper, and Instagram at Kwam, KWAM _the _identity _shaper. Hit up your boy if you want to get more content. So right now, I'm going to let you all go. I will see y'all another day. Enjoy it. Let's keep inspiring our children. Peace.